But the really freaky Frankenstein of the taxidermy world is producing the cutest two-headed ducks.
Two-headed animals. The doctor ushered me into the room and solemnly shut the door behind me. His breath was shaky. Then he drops little pearls like, "You eat like a bird," and "A boy's best friend is his mother." At which point you can tell Marion is wondering, how is this hunk still single? I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach when he finally found the words.
Old spinster rocking in her chair got rid of me because of my long hair. She's got that old world charm. Little black hair dye will do no harm. Told him he could write a song about my aunt in Fredericksburg.
Interesting. Yeah. Just when we thought we'd heard enough, album number 2, No Hands, drops like unexpected roadkill. So you get positions posted like this: global production and mailroom director. Because managing all of the manufacturing around the world isn't good enough. We need someone who knows when we're going to run out of stamps. God damn it.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Well, we survived the Maryland Doom Festival, didn't we?
The worst part was the venue where it was at. Well, very charming. We went first because you couldn't buy just single day tickets. And there was a man at the door. And their method after we Venmo'd him was he put 3 marks on our hand that we were there for day 3.
They were using the Sharpie system.
Sharpie.
We didn't realize this was a thing.
And we said, well, we paid for both days. And we said, how are you going to remember us for tomorrow? And he said he would remember us. And he did.
Yeah.
He said he was the only man at the door.
So there was what, maybe 100 people there at the most, something like that.
Maybe a little more.
Everybody was staying at the same hotel as us. It's pretty fun. Yeah. Some of the bands, I really liked Ozorin a lot from California. I thought they were great. Compression, classic Towson band.
A lot of hometown bands in there.
You liked High Noon Kahuna.
I did. I liked High Noon Kahuna. I actually like King Bastard too. They were out of New York.
Yeah, yeah.
They were great. We
we hung out with PJ from Vermilion Whiskey.
Who killed it, by the way.
They were great.
They blew the
somewhere there's footage on someone's feed of us being on stage with them. So seek that out.
And
I remember when they pulled me onto the stage, I was like, oh my. Yeah. So.
And we got a lovely poster from them, which is now on our wall of fame behind us and framed.
This week's sponsor is Armenian Liability Soda. My first thought was System of a Down. I don't know. Anyway.
So fun was had by all, even in
great. We love Frederick. It's a beautiful town. We love it. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't been up there. Just endless shops. And on the Decay show, we talked about some of our experiences at like the knife shop and the combination bike and barista shop and stuff.
And they had like the world's most upscale Goodwill I've ever seen. Everything there was ancient. Typewriters.
They had these typewriters there, right? And I had the idea that you should just go in there one day with a stack of paper and just start typing. And then they come up and they're like, "Sir, are you going to buy that?" And you're like, "Come on, I'm trying to meet a deadline here, you know?" Just typing, smoking, typing, yeah. Anyway, hysterical. So, okay, let's call this next part Never Mind the Carcasses. So, go ahead.
Hey, people have the right to whatever hobby gets them through the day. But you have to admit that whoever thought of the idea for taxidermy had a knack for the creepy.
Yep.
You know what would make this den a lot more cozy? Dead boxes in various unnatural poses.
Got it.
About the corpse of an elf that appears to be in mid-leap. Of course, in reality, he was splattered across the hood of a Peterbilt, but a little sawdust and a little propping, he'll be immortalized forever.
Creepy. Again, not trying to be judgy, but if you think of what's the biggest movie associated with taxidermy? Psycho. Who could forget how creeped out Marion gets when she enters his parlor for a bit of sandwich and sees birds in various poses of attack all over the place? Then he drops little pearls like, "You eat like a bird," and "A boy's best friend is his mother." At which point you can tell Marion is wondering, how is this hunk still single? Long, skinny, socially awkward, and creepy. The totes package. Speaking of pet taxidermy, there is a pet store up the road from us. Half of it's a pet store, live animals, and the other half is stuffed animals, right? So they do both. And it's kind of cramped for space. So the little bunnies in the cages, they get to look across and see their grandfathers mounted on a wooden plaque. Nice suspenders, Grandpa Cottontail. Must be a little creepy for them. Their kind of star display is a giraffe head, complete with the neck and everything. I'm guessing it weighs more than a loaded dump truck. So you need some super strong studs to mount this thing on your wall for your next full stage production of Jumanji or whatever the hell. I don't know what else it would fit in with, you know.
Now, or the weirdos who think it's art to take a dead animal and pose it, drinking a beer and smoking. Because what could be cuter than a dead mouse with a brewski?
Yeah.
You know, after he died in the lab, someone thought, hey, let's further exploit him. Or a squirrel top mounted on a plaque with a top hat shooting double finger guns is just such a great conversation starter at a party.
Yikes.
But the really freaky Frankenstein of the taxidermy world is producing the cutest two-headed ducks.
Two-headed animals.
I mean, we'll just lie and tell people they're from Chernobyl. Or they mix animals like the fanciful mouse riding a squirrel complete with cowboy hat.
Well,
I'd like to see them animate the whole mess. And so they could buck. I mean, my money's on the mouse.
okay. So any of us who have gotten pissed off at our current job and decided to go to a job board like Indeed.com or Career Builder, here's what happens. I'm convinced this is hybrid job titles. Okay. So the CEO or whatever sits down and says, we need a new manager. We need to do this and that. And they want to pay a certain amount of money, right? HR people say, no, that's not enough. The market bears whatever, 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year, whatever. So you get hybrid positions. What happens is the CEO is like, all right, but then they're in charge of parking too. Something so that they feel like they're paying 10 grand more than they wanted to in their head. So you get positions posted like this: global production and mailroom director. Because managing all of the manufacturing around the world isn't good enough. We need someone who knows when we're going to run out of stamps. God damn it.
God.
Vice president of global procurement. Okay, fair enough. But this particular one said, never mind your 10 years of experience. Confirm you have a valid forklift license, because we might need you to jump on the lift once in a while. I mean, that pallet of toilet paper is like 20 feet up. What if Bucky's at lunch?
God. All right. How about regional finance and packaging administrator?
See what I'm talking about?
Successful candidates will have a profit and loss statement expertise as well. Be able to negotiate a rock bottom price on blister pack.
Yep, see ya.
Skill sets.
Yep.
How about casino entertainment and buffet manager?
Okay.
We need to make sure these showgirls are wowing the gents and that we don't run out of bait to Alaska at 11 p.m. Step it up.
40 grand a year, then he's managing the buffet. I'm not doing it anymore.
Can we kick higher, girls?
That's right. This is real. I actually saw this. There's a job posting for FBI secret agent. This is word for word. Successful candidates will show a willingness to participate in arrests, execute search warrants, raids, and similar assignments.
Wow.
Things are tough all over. Proof of successful assassinations and possession of a functioning phone shoe are also required skills. Submit a resume to the Cone of Silence for further consideration.
I'm getting something. Hold on.
Exactly. Right. Thank you, 99.
How about typesetter and day porter, which, if you don't know, is a fancy term for a janitor, can print the news and also keep the place looking classy and super professional. Kind of tricky not to leave ink fingerprints while Windexing the front door.
Yeah.
How about this combination? Head of billing, credentialing, customer service, and my personal assistant equals pick up my dry cleaning, bring me coffee, bitch, and do everything else. Keep those plates spinning. Oh, and watch my 2-year-old as you order the vendor lunch. The ideal applicant was previously a one-armed wallpaper hanger.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I actually had a job where I was the personal assistant to the
Uh-huh.
vice president of sales.
Mhm.
We went to our Christmas dinner at a restaurant, and he put me in charge of his 2-year-old.
Wow.
While at
If that falls
Christmas
under
dinner.
other responsibilities as needed. Yeah. We'll close out with this one. Director of IT and interior design. Responsible for keeping the entire global network secure and selecting tasteful throw pillows. And the sign on your desk would be the IT ID.
Or maybe they just call you the ITID.
It did. Yeah.
Give me a TID, my God.
Okay, you want to talk about our feature interview?
Our feature interview this week is with Danny Dunlap, guitarist and songwriter and lyricist for the Austin-based power pop band Gentlemen Rogues. We have a great talk with Dan that covers everything from the artwork for the new album, Surface Noise, to pet peeves with dentists and radio royalties, and there may even be a Misfits geek out, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, this is a song from Gentlemen Rogues called Young Till We Die. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts. And for $6.66 a month, you get an absolutely overwhelming amount of Mark and Stace. Music reviews, recipes, workout tips, anything you could possibly want from Mark and Stace.
I know a lot of tricks around the kitchen. I mean, everybody's got to eat, guys. You may as well make it easy. Maybe I'll do a new special in the garden this year.
I finally finished the Early Butthole Surfers feature. That is now up on our Patreon. Tons of bonus content that you can't get anywhere else. And we need you to get over there. And we also need you to check out our Instagram page, say hi on Facebook. And in general, don't keep us to yourself. Spread the word.
If you like us, share us with a friend. Don't be stingy and keep us to yourself.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, also in supporting the show, you also support the underground music that we promote. So consider that, you know, the next time you're getting your $6 frappe, you could be helping the underground scene.
I had to get a second mortgage just to fill up the tank of my lawnmower. Anyway, okay. So this second part is called Are You Sitting Down? Have you ever met someone that makes the smallest problem sound like the end of the freaking world? It's a rare talent. Here's an example. Tanya, if you could sit down for a moment, I have some potentially upsetting news. The situation is nobody's fault, but I am afraid the rumors are true. We have, in fact, run out of hot mustard sauce. It seems the whole exercise of lunch is just moot at this point. Just crushing news here. Here's a paper bag if you need to breathe into it.
You know, it was at that precise moment when it hit me. My God! Recycling pickup is Thursday this week. How could I have been so stupid, reckless, corrugated, blowing all over the yard like it's Katrina all over again? Lord help me, how can this happen? How about the patient that arrives at my window out of breath? I'm so sorry. My electricity went out and my alarm clock did not go off, but I am unshowered and uncaffeinated. But there's no one else but me to blame. I know I am late for my appointment. They hang onto the counter like they're clinging to the edge of a cliff. Is there a fine I can pay? Does anyone have a tissue? Ma'am, it's okay. Your appointment is tomorrow.
I had told the story about arriving at the train station, the strange encounter with the conductor, and was about to get into the luggage debacle when I realized, my God, I've lost the connection. In that moment, a flood of memories returned. I knew that AT&T had boasted a better network than T-Mobile. I went down to the bar car for some straight scotch and maybe a shot of LSD to steady my nerves. The doctor ushered me into the room and solemnly shut the door behind me. His breath was shaky but determined. What is it, Dr. Weber? I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach when he finally found the words. Nurse Elena, the patients don't seem to like the colored Band-Aids. I went down the hall and found a trash can to vomit in. Later, I volunteered for electric shock therapy as a penance.
I was finishing breakfast when suddenly all the color drained from the waitress's face. What is it, Betty? Is it Frank's health problems again? No, Betty said, and then closed her eyes and through tears blubbered. I forgot to charge you for the extra toast. Oh, God, why am I this scatterbrained?
Beating yourself in that is great. As Tina punched up the title on her computer, her wry smile slowly faded. My blood ran cold as our eyes locked. Finally, after a minute or so of choosing her words carefully, she said, I'm afraid this book is 2 days overdue. I wanted the ground to just open up and swallow me. I apologized profusely to the line forming behind me. I knew I shouldn't have wasted time reading all the epilogue.
I actually found an entire Facebook group dedicated to I hate cilantro.
Really? Wow.
I dated a guy who could not stand the stuff, and I could never get why he would flip the fuck out if the restaurant forgot his no cilantro request.
He burned the toast, spilled ranch dressing all over my jacket, and disappeared every time I asked for a refill. But god damn it, cilantro in my zucchini soup is the last straw. Where's the manager?
It turns out there may actually be a reason for this green herb hating.
Okay.
Certain people are genetically turned off by it. They have olfactory sensors that pick up the small amount of aldehydes found in the leaves, which is also found in shampoos and soaps. And to them, it makes it taste just like a bar of soap in their mouth. This is about 20% of the population
Really?
has
Wow.
this.
The things you learn on this show. Yeah. Kind of like the way an ingredient in toothpaste temporarily blocks the sweet taste receptors in the tongue and it makes an incredibly unpleasant aftertaste. Here, honey, chase that Colgate with some nice pulpy Tropicana.
Oh my God, it tastes so bad.
Yeah.
Who hasn't done that at least once in their life?
All right, let's play a song.
All right, this is Do the Resurrection.
Okay, let's talk about Home Chef.
Dog is sleeping on my cards.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad he's sleeping. Yeah.
I thought this week I would show you some of the more vegetarian options from Home Chef. This is a skillet lasagna blanca with spinach and corn. You could add meat to this. I may very well. But you make this in one pan. This is the vegetarian version. Of course, you can also add meat. They will ship that to you as well. They give you lots of choices when you cook with Home Chef.
I love vegetarian meals with big slabs of bacon in them. Yeah.
This is a one-pan Mexican-style elotes quesadillas with chipotle lime crema and corn salsa. Also, you could add meat.
You could add cilantro.
You could add cilantro. I have some growing in the garden.
God damn it. Yeah.
You have step-by-step instructions along the way, so you can't get lost. Everything is in your bag to you. And we also have, I think we'll have this tomorrow, a mozzarella stuffed chicken with roasted potatoes and garlic aioli.
Very good.
So,
as you can see, all kinds of options. From
yeah, they give you lots of options. If you just want to get one that you could throw in the oven, they have oven-ready meals. If you're, I remember back in the day when I was running the kids to 90,000 sporting things, and it was, always felt bad when you got McDonald's. You don't have to, and it gets right to your door as much as you like or as little as you like. Use our link, that'll save you off your first order.
Very good. Collectorbation time. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about a true polymath, Joe Hasselvander's band, The Hounds of Hasselvander's album from 2011.
All right, so this is The Hounds of Hasselvander, the ninth hour from 2011. Joe Hasselvander is a genuinely fascinating deity in the world of underground metal. It's a name synonymous with quality, with grit, with existence in a separate plane of true art, dark, alluring, and exceptionally heavy. He's the man swimming through the liquid asphalt of pentagram releases like Review Your Choices and Be Forewarned. He's the one that lit a fire under Raven when it seemed their true fan base was eroding. Even his strange pseudo-German band with Jack Starr is worth exploring.
Back in 2001, Pentagram was scheduled to headline a Doom Festival in Baltimore with a host of other Sabs-obsessed back alley creeps like Halfway to Gone, Black Manta, and whoever else. The band wasn't exactly playing out regularly. Suffice to say, a show with the full band at that time was the equivalent of Halley's Comet passing through again. At any rate, they finally hit the stage super late without Bobby, who had pulled another one of his famous no-shows. Joe stood on that stage and just assaulted us with the thickest, meatiest, droniest riffs from the last couple of records and improvised lyrics about how much he hated Bobby. The man was livid. Eventually, he started passing the mic stand around to the front row, and the audience took turns shouting out the words to Pentagram songs. Bobby finally came running in about a half hour late and jumped on stage. The band stopped playing, and that was that. But I never forgot the nagging feeling that Hasselvander should just handle the vocals himself. The man is a cosmic overlord of riffology. So check out the song. This is The Ninth Hour. Okay, returning with more Hounds of Hasselvander talk. Go ahead.
Not sure if that show or others like it were the catalyst for his Hounds of Hasselvander project, but it's everything one would expect from a metal journeyman like Joe, personally handling everything from bass to drums to vocals to guitar to production with fabulous results. He's a consummate masterclass in doom metal riffing, his style straddling the line between Iommi, Griffin, and Weinrich, rich in subtle melodic nuances. A master of the Gibson SG, as evidenced in the haggard tempo of On Her Way. His voice nearly as dynamic as the guitar and his bass acumen. His drumming is still the main attraction in some of the songs, like the rolling, tumbling splendor of Take Up Your Cross. Last Call is the penultimate DC Doom anthem, a lurching course of a riff, leads droning in all directions, Joe spewing bucolic imagery like bow-legged toothless hag, can't find the cocaine to fill her bag, old spinster rocking in her chair, got rid of me because of my long hair. She's got that old world charm. Little black hair dye will do no harm. Told him he could write a song about my aunt in Fredericksburg.
Interesting, yeah. When the man says, take up your cross and follow me, there's really no need. I'm already there and have been for years. This would be the first of several quality releases from the Hounds that would result in great shows. I went and saw him in DC back around this time this album came out. And with zero expectation, Bobby suddenly shows up and they sang a couple Pentagram songs together. It was just so yeah, if you go to see Pentagram with Bobby, he may not show up. But if you go see something Pentagram adjacent, he's probably doing blow in the ladies' room. So anyway, let's play a song. This is Heavier Than Thou. Okay, want to introduce the interview?
So this is our interview with Danny Dunlap. I was very excited to get more information from him. I've been blown away by this band, as you'll probably hear me tell him. Not usually in my wheelhouse. Cannot get these songs out of my head. Cannot keep coming back to this album. Even their new single hits it out of the park. So take it away with our conversation. Very excited and honored to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, tooling around, and believe me, I'm a tough cookie when it comes to music. I usually like stuff really, really hard. I like Knocked Loose. I like My Dying Bride. I like Inner Armor. But you guys have totally won me over.
Oh, great.
When he brings me when Mark will bring me stuff, I'll be like, oh no, that's not hard enough for me. That I never comes into question with you guys.
That's cool. So you're not, I don't, forgive me, but I'm not familiar with any of those bands that you listed. Is it like metal bands or?
Yeah. Inner Armor is kind of where they're kind of more doomy, where they go heavy light, heavy light. My Dying Bride, they're wild. They're like a lot of doom, but they also have violin. And he goes back and forth between sounding like he's singing for Les Mis to like this.
Oh, okay.
It's really wild. You know, that's usually me. That's
All
my
right.
speed.
Well, that's cool that we've somehow broken through your wall. And
well, part of that is because, like I said in the review, right in the early '90s, I went down this crazy power pop rabbit hole, and just I was all Matthew Sweet and Elvis Costello and Replacements and Chris Bell. I Am the Cosmos. That's when you're getting into the next level, right there.
Oh yeah, that record rules.
Oh yeah, it does. It's so shambolic, like it's gonna fall apart at any time. Like I don't know how he captured that. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just that song, "I Am the Cosmos." It's like, yeah, it's heartbreaking. You can kind of tell his kind of how fragile he was. You know, like his mental state. And I mean, I'm presuming I didn't know him, obviously.
Well, I'm able to go back into it once in a while because, like I think I want to say it was about 8 years ago, they reissued like a 5-disc copy of Big Star Sister Lovers. It had there's a ton of there's tons of alternate versions and unreleased songs on those sessions. Apparently, Alex Chilton just hold himself up in the studio for like weeks and just recorded everything for that album.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I read the Chris Bell book a couple of years ago. I think it was called like There Was a Light, I think it's the name of it. But yeah, it's really good. And not to get too just jump straight into like talking about stuff, but the Surface Noise, there's a song called Troubled Troubadour, and it's kind of partly about Chris Bell.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a song that's kind of about a bunch of different people, or you know, like a handful of different people. Mostly it's about Syd Barrett and Chris Bell. Bill Fox from the Mice is in there. Adrian Borland from the Sound is in there. And there's like references to people. And I don't normally talk about like what songs are about so much, but like that one is like, it's so like not really personal because it's kind of about almost like heroes of mine and about just people who like maybe didn't get their due like when they were alive, or that maybe didn't sort of their potential because of addiction, mental illness, things like that. But yeah, that song is partly about Chris Bell. There's a line towards the end that says, what are the lyrics? I have to sing it to remember them. But there's a line at the end, because in the book, I don't know if you knew this about Chris Bell, but there was a lot of speculation that he was homosexual, that he was like in the closet.
Yeah, I did know that, right?
I think, the line says something like, "Not by your own admission, you kept a closet full of secrets," or something like that. So so it's kind of a reference to like.
Well, I don't know whether it's just limited to this genre, but I always figured you can't call your band Big Star or you're dooming yourself. I mean, as soon as you did that, it was all over. And there's another band too. I can't remember what her name is, but she was married to like Miles Copeland, this woman, and she called her band like the Overnight Sensations or something. Of course, went absolutely nowhere.
Not as cool as Big Star.
Right, but you're totally you're damning yourself if you call yourself. You know,
we're called From Rags to Riches.
Number one with a bullet. Oh,
yeah.
I love your name, by the way. Was it like an oxymoron on purpose?
You know where I got that from was there was in the Austin Chronicle. We're from Austin, Texas, and our kind of like entertainment rag that comes out every week that has all the shows and articles about things and political stuff, and one of those things. And there was a review of the Wes Anderson movie called The Fantastic Mr. Fox, and in the review, the person who wrote it, her name is Kim something. I used to know her, but I can't remember her last name at the moment. It's escaping me, but she was a real sweet lady, and she wrote this review. And in the review, there was a line that said something like, Wes Anderson's cast his normal array of Gentlemen Rogues or something like that. And I just read it and I was like, oh, I kind of like that because I'm a really big fan of the Stone Roses, and Manchester. It kind of had that same, what you were saying, kind of like a, one sort of the opposite of the other. And
right, two words
like,
that
that's
you
kind of a
wouldn't
good
think
band.
yeah, you wouldn't think they'd go together, but they do.
It kind of works, and it was the when we were starting the band, and coming up with a really terrible band name is really easy, and coming up with a good one is pretty hard. Yeah. And it was the first one that the four of us were like, that's not bad. We're like, we got four not bads. That's our band name.
The best names are from those old Nuggets compilations, like Strawberry Alarm Clock and Chocolate Watch Band. You just wonder, it just must have been an acid tripping until they came up with the most outrageous thing,
The very first band I was in when I was in high school, I was just the singer, and we were called the Nocturnal Pigeon Boys.
Oh my, that's a mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Anyway, I think that came up from going, probably write a word down and put it in a hat and everyone pulls it out. Right. And, I got this one, or everyone think of a word and then we'll mix them all together.
Yeah. So previously you worked with Josh in another band, the Fall Collection. So how did you kind of come around to being the drummer for you guys again?
How did Josh end up drumming with us again?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we started the band, so Josh and I did the Fall Collection for probably about 5 years. And when we broke up, I was having, not to get too personal or whatever, but I was having a bunch of health problems at the time. And I just kind of got where I was didn't like living. Okay. I was I didn't really want to be in a anymore. I was just kind of trying to figure out what was going on with my body. It turns out I ended up having arthritis. I developed arthritis when I was 35. Jeez. It wrecked my whole body, and I thought I was kind of falling apart, and I was in pain all the time. And the last thing I wanted to do was be in a band. I mean, picking up my guitar case was painful, to do. Yeah. And so it was, and I kind of felt like that band had sort of not run its course, but we were just kind of felt like we weren't really getting anywhere, and we were trying, and it just kind of felt I don't know. I think mostly this feeling of we're not really getting anywhere. And then being in all this pain all the time, it was what are we doing? What am I doing? And yeah, and then we just kind of, I don't know, I just sort of didn't want to do that anymore. And then I figured out what was wrong with me and I started treating it, and then I got better. And then maybe a year or two after the Fall Collection broke up, I started Gentlemen Rogues. And I'd met this guy named Matty, who I would go into this coffee shop every morning before work, and turns out he was a drummer. And we found we kind of liked some of the same bands. And so we ended up just kind of getting together and playing just as a two-piece. And then my friend Corden played guitar, and I was like, you want to come start playing with me and this guy Matt? And just kind of formed really organically. And then Maddie brought in this guy named Cole to play bass. And Cole was a guitar player, but he played bass with us because he just wanted to be in a band. And and then we did that for a while. And then I guess Cole decided he didn't really like being a bass player, and he wanted to go back to really focusing on guitar. And Maddie wanted to kind of get into starting his own business, and his sort of attention went somewhere else. And I hit up Josh and was just hey, we need a drummer, and do you want to come goof around with us? And he did, and we knew it would work, and it did, and he's been with us ever since. So we've been a band for quite a while, and Josh has been in the band way longer than he hasn't been. So in a weird way, no discredit to Maddie, because he was a great drummer, but it almost feels like Josh has always been the drummer, even though he wasn't for the first 2 years we existed.
Yeah, it just seems like you guys have a great chemistry. Who brings kind of what personality or role when they come to the band?
How do you mean exactly?
Is there a person who does social media? Is there a person who does logistics? Is there a person who's the goofball, who's always cracking everybody up? Is it somebody who's the idea man?
Yeah, I'm a lot of those.
Okay.
I do. I write all of our songs, and I kind of we write the songs together, but like I'll bring in kind of the core idea. I'll work on stuff at home, and once I've come up with something that I don't or that I think has potential to turn into something good, I'll try to get it to a place where we can start working on it, kind of banging around on it in our practice room. And I don't like write everybody's parts and stuff like that, but I'll just kind of bring in the core song, and then we kind of sort of hash it out together. And yeah, I think that, so like I bring in the songs. Josh, our drummer, who we're just talking about, he and I do all of our artwork and stuff. So um, like the Surface Noise cover Behind You on the Wall, that was that's 90% a real computer glitch from when Josh was working on the artwork for our last record. Listen, he his screen just like shit the bed, and it made that image, and he had the foresight to go, that looks cool, and he took a screenshot of it.
Okay.
And then he was just like, hey, we should use this for something sometime. It looks really cool. And you see how it kind of naturally made those panels.
Yeah.
Like there's all these squares. That's all the way it really looked. And there's maybe 2 of those that we had to doctor, because you could see the kind of the artwork from the last record sort of bleeding through. You could kind of recognize in 2 of those little squares. So we had to like doctor 1 or 2 of them. And then we're like, yeah, there's artwork for the new record. So it works out. It was kind of cool how it happened. But yeah, he and I do all the artwork and stuff. He runs our website. Josh does. He and his wife do a design business together, and I went to school for graphic design, so we always kind of like to have a hand in our artwork and stuff.
I tried to find a shirt that best matched your album cover.
I was thinking that's a cool dress or shirt.
I was like, what do I have?
I was like, we're gonna have to use that for our next album, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your stuff is so different from like the red towel wall of Mock and Love Out of Nothing at All to the owl. So do you just kind of take it by whatever feel that album has, or whatever you come across, or just artist inspired?
I don't know if we ever really think about this. Is probably, I don't know if this is good or bad. If it works, then so far we've gotten lucky, but I don't know if we've ever really thought about like how the music connects to the artwork so much. I think like the owl on the cover of our first like 4-song EP, I this is a funny story. I saw that picture. I was like Yahoo News going to check my email account that I've had since I was 17, and there was this article that was like National Geographic amateur photographers, like best amateur photographers for National Geographic, something like that. And there was this one picture, was looking at them, and this one picture of that owl, and I was like, oh, that picture is so cool. And it said like photo by Mitch, I can't think of his name. So I just went on to like Facebook, and I just searched his name, and I found this page. Okay. And I took a screenshot of the picture, and I said, hey, can we use this for our record cover? And he goes, yeah, sure. Just send me a copy of the record whenever it comes out. And I was like, all right. And so that was that. And I think I maybe sent him like maybe like $100 or something. It was like, I didn't feel totally right about just being like using it for free, but we also, we didn't have any money. I don't know. We're just kind of like, I just found it on a news article, but that was the thought that went into it. It was like, that's a really cool photo.
That's the good side of the internet, or the good side of social media, I guess. That you can find things like that easily. Yeah.
Mitchell Kranz. That's his name.
The bad side is that every job when I was a teenager in my 20s where I walked out and said, fuck you, I quit. Yeah. They all found me as soon as Facebook was invented. And they were like, Marchman. Like they had completely gotten over it. And I was like, I didn't know you were going to find me again.
Yeah. I resisted all that stuff for so long. Social media is like, it's such a double-edged sword. And some days, I'm like, why am I even on this? I hate this so much. And then and honestly, if I didn't do the band, I probably wouldn't be on it. I don't know, because I'm like, it's sort of like a necessity to be on it for us. But my personal pages are basically just like a secondary Gentlemen Rogues page, because I just don't like to post personal stuff and my political opinions, and just I just stay out of that stuff.
Ever. Ugh.
No, it's yeah.
You know, somebody just or they're just dumb, you know, like on the neighborhood app. I see the most horrible things on there, you know. And I'm like, are people really this dumb?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a slippery slope, and I have opinions of things. I just don't put them on social media.
Well, I try to use it, especially on Facebook. I try to use it. I make a lot of comments on posts, and I find that people will stay outraged for 24 hours. And usually I'll pick up like 10 followers if I really piss people off the right way. Like, for example, there was one the other day where it was about bullying. And it was about, there was these two kids, and one of them was obviously like downtrodden, being bullied, and it was about not to bully. And I said something like, well, that shirt and those pants, he does deserve it a little bit, And it was just enough to get, I don't know, a couple pages of outrage, and I picked up like 10 followers from that. So, I mean, I think you have to be able to pull the levers a certain way.
Well, and
I not give a shit too.
Yeah. It's obvious though that you're kidding, and it's like,
well, not to everybody. I mean, there's some kooks on there that take everything seriously.
I know that there's always that too. I mean, it's like with Austin right now, it's Austin's kind of like the stand-up comedy capital of the world right now. It's like all those Tom Segura and Joe Rogan and all those guys have moved here. So there's like,
you didn't ask for them, now you're stuck with them.
Yeah, and there's this large hub of comedy, which I love stand-up comedy, but that's like that's a huge thing, and all that is like, where's the line, and and it's it's pretty far. Depends on depending on who you are. You can say a lot of crazy stuff and find it funny, and other people get very easily offended. So it's all, I know he's the king subjective,
I know he's the king of podcasting, but does anybody really like Joe Rogan's comedy? I mean, really, come on. I mean, is anybody going, yeah, he's hilarious? No, they're not.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. Not that it keeps me awake at night, but like I definitely have thought about that, where he's definitely seems to be more famous for his podcast than his stand-up. But what's interesting is people kind of consider him to be one of the most famous stand-up comedians in the world, but you're like, but is it really for his comedy, or is it because
mainly because he comes up with good interview questions, really, so anyway, we're gonna get out to Austin one of these days. We've never been there. I would really like to be there. So
where are y'all based out of?
We're out of Baltimore, and I've been all over Texas. I've been in Houston. I've been to Dallas a bunch of times, but I never made it to Austin. I really want to go there.
I didn't like Houston when we went.
No one does.
It's really humid. It's really humid.
We were right by the airport. We were right by Hobby Airport. Yeah. For my job, I had to be in that part of town, and I warned her. I said, this place isn't going to win any beauty contests.
There's good stuff about Houston, but Houston is so big that you have to really kind of know where to go, and there's a lot of good. I would never want to live there, but I like going to visit for like a weekend. I have some friends that live there.
Right.
It's good for a couple of days, and then you want to get the hell out of there.
I like that you did a Stones cover, Connection.
Oh, and they're split.
Yeah, on the new split. Like, what how'd you choose that one, and like which ones did you think about that maybe didn't make it?
We didn't think about it. Actually, you know what? Okay, there's a story here. Sorry, I was gonna breeze over that because I was like, I don't know, we just like the song. But actually, but actually we do like the song. It's probably one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs. But we a few years ago got invited to do a hoot night, a Rolling Stones hoot night at the Continental Club here in Austin, and it's I think it was probably like 12 or 15 bands doing like 2 or 3 Rolling Stones songs each, and we could pick whichever ones we wanted basically. And so I was like, oh, I love Connection, we should do that one. And then John picked Sleep With Me, Live With Me. What's the name of that song? God damn it. Yeah, I think it's called Live With Me. Sorry. And what else did we do? I'm Waiting.
Okay, yeah.
And I Am Waiting. We did those 3. But when we learned them, we did Live With Me like pretty accurate to how it went. Like we did a pretty like accurate version of it. But when we did Connection, because of just, I don't know, something about it, we were like, well, let's just kind of make it more punky and like just play it a little faster and kind of like rock it a little more and
make it yours.
We were like, we'll make this one more just sort of drivey. And so when we did it, we were like, it's pretty cool. Like kind of sounds kind of cool like that. And we just did it like that at the show. And then I think a few months later, when we were going to record the single and the whole thing about with the Drolls, it was like, well, they're going to do a cover, we'll do a cover. And then we're like, what cover are we going to do? It's just like, oh wait, what about that punky version of Connection we did? And then we leaned into it a little bit more, and not to like be too inside baseball with it, but we tried to make the beginning and the ending, we did them like a Misfit song. So like the way it starts with that bum 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 is it's Attitude by Misfits.
Okay, great.
And the way it ends is like the way Astro Zombies ends. So we were like,
excellent.
Now that you know that, you'll hear it. But when we when we wrote it, we were like, let's kind of make it kind of like a Misfit song or something. And so
I was so happy because like I'm stickler for, if you're gonna do a cover, make it yours. I don't want to hear the same song again. And I like how you kept like the vocal inflections and stuff the same, but totally sped it up and changed everything else.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of the song are the harmonies and stuff. And I was like, hey, we got to keep those harmonies. Those are kind of like almost the best part of the song.
Yeah, I was making fun of a friend of mine, because he went and saw the Stones on this tour. And of course, it's extraordinarily expensive and whatever else. Yeah. And he said, when would you have seen them? And I said, it's 1977. I'm going to say maybe Hammersmith Odeon, maybe 6,000 people. I would say, because then they would play mostly Exile and Sticky Finger stuff, but they'd still have Miss You and the newer stuff.
Yeah.
And I get like Roxy Music to open, and he goes, dude, you are the ultimate music snob. I mean, listen to you. You sound like High Fidelity, the movie High Fidelity with John Hughes. And I'm like, sorry, dude, you asked the question.
I can slip into that mode too. I get pretty like dorky and about that kind of. I mean, music is it's like a lifelong obsession. I'm sure you're the same way. It's just like all you think about, all you talk about. It's like
speculation. Like what? Yeah, like my brother will call me and we'll be like, we'll talk about like a band that's been together for 30 years, but the bass player's only been there for 10, but they're huge. Does he get a quarter of the money? And what songs did he write? And we're pulling the albums out going, well, he wrote this and this and this. He should, it's ridiculous.
I'm asleep.
She's long asleep,
we did a whole skit about it, like show. It's like, he's going off, and
I'm pulling out the records going, wait, the vinyl from the Netherlands has more liner notes. Hold on a minute.
The secret is in the Spanish pressing.
Exactly. Yeah. They had all the answers.
That's funny. Speaking of exorbitant ticket prices and the Misfits, to bring it full circle, I just bought tickets to see the Misfits a couple of weeks ago, and they were not cheap.
No, I know.
It's one of my favorite bands since I was in like 7th, 8th grade. I love them. And I was like, I've never seen them. It's like 3 of the mostly original members. And I was like, I'm going to regret not going. They're coming to my city. I got to go. But yeah.
I know you're right there. He does want an exorbitant amount of money. I know in Europe that they wanted them to headline some festivals, but rumors are that the amount they want is just ridiculous. Like they want more than like Metallica would charge or something.
Yeah, it's weird too, because they're playing at a really big play. I mean, they're basically playing a stadium, and it's like it's a 4-band bill, which is weird. It's like Agnostic Front and Reverend Horton Heat and Suicidal Tendencies and the Misfits playing like basically an arena. And I guess the stuff that I've seen in that giant venue, it's always been like an opening band and then like the main act. And this is like, it's going to be weird to see a 4-band bill in like the giant place. I guess it's kind of like a festival, but in my mind, it seems kind of strange, but it's probably really not that weird.
But then again, if at any huge festival, if you're wondering, was it worth paying him $1 million? As soon as he hits that chord, goes, I got something to say. Everybody goes nuts. I mean, then you're like, yep, that money was worth it.
Well, and you think about it too. Their songs are very short. They didn't have a ton of material. I mean, they really made like 2, maybe 3 albums, and it's like they're gonna play like almost all of that.
It's so hard to believe when you read their Wikipedia and it says that they gave up marketing Static Age because of 0 interest from any label.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it's so hard to imagine.
I know. You know,
As huge as those songs are now.
I know, and there's so many hits and like, you know, hits and that stuff, just classic songs. And that record didn't even officially get released until like 1997.
I know.
You're like,
yeah.
what?
And
Like,
when you take the songs apart, it's sort of like taking apart the early Ramones songs. There's nothing there. They really are like 3 chords. Like
Yeah.
they really could barely play.
it's
It's
awesome.
just his voice and the way they put the chords together. It's incredible. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Anyway, great band.
anyway.
But I also love the new one, Young Till We Die. That line resonated with me. We should argue more than we do.
Yeah, and what's that line
I
about?
actually had my ex-husband used to say that, something like that to me, because he felt like I was running ahead and getting all the problems out of the way instead of letting us go through it and get stronger. So I wanted to know what your take was on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it's about, I suppose. It's like a kind of avoiding your problems and like it's kind of, I guess of not communicating, you know. It's a lot of what that song is about, like poor communication. And maybe like if you just sort of hashed it out and screamed at each other, that like it would be better in the end instead of kind of pushing it off and sweeping it under the rug, and then just, you know, things kind of build up and get worse if you don't really ever address them. So I guess it's kind of what that line's about. I like the line, the line in that song that I really like is that I think is weird. It says it's not like the extinguishers on fire, and it's like it's like not all hope is lost, you know, so we can still save this.
Well, how about the title for the album, Surface Noise? That's a very vinyl-ish kind of vocabulary word there.
Yeah, we thought that this is kind of like maybe is going to make me put my foot in my mouth about about how we think about the artwork. This might be the only time we've ever done this. Is Josh, because he had that weird glitchy graphic and we ended up going to be using the album cover, he was wanting to call the album Screen Trash, I think is what he was.
Well, I like that too. I like that too. Yeah.
Call it Screen Trash. And that sounds kind of cool, but I was like, it's too, to me, it was a little too like literal, but like slangy, but a little too literal too. And because we make music, it was like, what's another kind of, what's like the audio version of that, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was like Surface Noise is kind of a, you know, a good audio version of a distortion or something. So I think they go together, even though this is a visual image of like, you know, glitchy computer stuff. It's still kind of synonymous with like a type of distortion, and surface noise is a type of distortion. So that was sort of like the way we.
You know, when we put this up, there's suddenly going to be 3 bands called Screen Trash now. They're going to steal that.
You can have it.
Actually,
that's a freebie.
A great name for a band that like no one took, that I just found. It was like Glenn Hughes's first band that he was in was called Finders Keepers. I thought that was such a great name. I can't believe.
Surely there's a band called Finders Keepers. That seems like there'd be like.
I mean, it's not a big band, but that's I thought that was a really cool name. You know?
That's a pretty good name.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right.
And then you could have Losers Weepers would be like your rival band or whatever.
Actually, Losers Weepers is a pretty good band name.
That's really good. Yes, so we're gonna get a lot of band names out of this.
Yeah,
episode.
I thought Surface Noise was really good because in my head I immediately think vinyl, and I think you guys have such a classic sound with a modern twist, so I thought it was perfect.
I thought, like, are they apologizing for the production? Because I think the production sounds good.
No, it sounds great.
Good mix.
Yeah, we had good people work on it. We had our friend Kevin Butler, who he's recorded several of records that we've done, like singles and EPs and stuff. And he has a studio here, like way in South Austin, town outside of Austin called Dripping Springs, and it's like almost to Dripping Springs, right outside of town. And he has a studio at his house, and he used to work in a studio called Orb, and he has his own place called Test Tube Audio. And he's really talented, and he makes us sound a lot better than we actually are. And it was mastered by Jason Livermore at the Blasting Room, that's like the Descendants, recording studio in Fort Collins. Bill Stevenson owns it, I believe. And Jason Livermore's like Grammy award winning. He like just won a Grammy recently, and so we had a Grammy award winning masterer.
That's great.
Mastering person.
Mastering.
Yeah. And so the two together, the record sounds great.
It seems to me like you guys are really into guitars. I think that one video especially, there's a lot of guitars being played. And I like that. I always like power pop that has a lot of guitars in it, like the Posies and stuff, and Matthew Sweet, a lot of that stuff. So is that true to a certain extent, or?
Oh, it's very, very true. It's
cool.
Yeah, we love guitars. I'm a big collector nerd and have a bunch of guitars, and you see a lot of them in that Do the Resurrection video. That was
right.
Were those all yours?
Yeah. And that's some of them.
And that's why I still have a day job, right?
Yeah, exactly. For other reasons as well.
So we had a lot of favorite tracks. And
hang on a minute. I wanted to ask about the replacement covers. So you guys did some covers. You did "I'll Be You" and "Left Off the Dial."
Left of the Dial. It was just me. It was
just you.
Yeah, it wasn't the full band. It was me and these guys in a band called English Teeth. They're a local band, which is a great band name, English Teeth. And they did this during South by Southwest, where they did this replacements kind of hoot where they were the backup band and they would have guest singers come out and do different replacement songs. Usually it was like 2 songs per person. And they did it for like a free show during South by Southwest at this bar called Sea Boys. And my friends and I went to it because we're all big Replacements fans, and we know some of the guys in English Teeth. Their drummer Kevin was a friend of mine, or is a friend of mine. And I was like, oh, we'll go see this. It was free, and it was rad. It was like Alejandro Escovedo did a couple of songs. Britt Daniel from Spoon did a couple of songs. It was like this kind of cast of Ian Moore did some songs. It was fun. And then like maybe like a month or 2 later, Kevin messaged me. I messaged him and it was like, hey, I was at the Replacements thing. I didn't talk to you, but I was there. You guys were great. It was awesome. And he was like, we're going to do it again at the Continental Club. You want to sing some songs? And I was like, yes. Sign me up. So I got to do, I did I'll Be You and Left of the Dial.
Wait, it's funny that I love your Gentlemen Rogue shirts that are like the nod to the Buzzcocks logo, like font rather. But in fact, we just did was it this show or the Decay show? We did the Buzzcocks review.
I think it was Decay show.
Yeah, we do like a little vinyl show off thing. So I thought that was pretty funny because what is your favorite Buzzcocks album?
What's my favorite one? Probably Love Bites. It's just pretty classic. I like, I guess, a different kind of tension? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them all, and even that Singles Going Steady is just like, it's kind of like all the jams are on that one. It's great. But we're Buzzcocks fans, and I made this flyer for a show one time, like maybe a year or 2 ago, that I just intentionally found all these fonts online that were like punk, like punk font. It's like. And all these stupid, like all ages, that was like the name of one of the fonts, So I just found all these dumb punk fonts and I made a flyer using like a few different ones and just trying to make the flyer kind of sort of goofy looking. And for the band names, I would kind of stylize the band names that we're playing. And for ours, I did that kind of fake Buzzcocks, kind of parody. And I had like probably like 10 people be like, dude, y'all's logo looks cool like that. And I was like, yeah, it does look pretty cool. And then I was like, man, maybe we should make t-shirts or stickers or something with the like Buzzcocks homage. And we just literally just made those t-shirts. We just got them like last week. I think they turned out cool.
Yeah, this friend of mine was telling me that a lot of those classic punk rock fonts came because they just would walk into like, they would walk into Kmart and they would just get a set of stencils, generic stencils, and that's all they could do. And they became so iconic, like Wire and GBH and these. But a lot of it was just done out of economy, and it became these.
Yeah.
Now we look at them, we say that's so cool, that's so punk rock, but it was just because they didn't have a graphic designer,
DIY. And a lot of them were friends for like the Buzzcocks one in particular. There's a whole webpage you can find about like the origin of that logo, and the font is called Compacta, and it's like and it was made by like one of their friends who was like going to art school, and he kind of took that font and sort of manipulated it by hand, if I remember right. And you can go and find Compacta font, but if you type Buzzcocks, it doesn't look exactly like their logo because he did it. His is all by hand, and it's not quite Compacta, but that's the origin of like what that logo is. So when I made ours, I was like, oh, cool, Compacta. I'll type Gentlemen Rogues. I'll stretch those letters out. Done. And it's like, nope. It took like a lot of like, Photoshop finagling and stuff to try to make it look more accurate to how theirs looks. I got pretty close. If you go side by side, you can kind of see little differences, but it looks pretty good. It turned out good.
Yeah.
I always like
that's proper nerd stuff right there.
It's this whole thing is nerd. I'm a massive nerd if you haven't figured that out
yet. So lots of favorite tracks here. Of course, Do the Resurrection. It's so drying. It's got more hooks than Velcro, more hooks than Jesse's Girl. Jesus. Was that a working title? Because that's one of those things where the words never actually appear in the song, or where did that come from?
The line, it's said in the song briefly. So I think it says, am I the only one doing the resurrection? I am the only one doing the resurrection. So yeah, that song was kind of about like on again, off again, like relationship where you're like, it ends and but you kind of keep going back to this person who's clearly like not good for you. And so it's kind of put in, I guess, metaphor that kind of being brought back from the dead to just do it all over again.
What is the chorus? Is it I want to be infected by your affection or infection?
Affection. That's all involuntary solitary. I want to be infected with your affection.
Oh, I'm asking about the wrong song. I'm sorry. Yeah, involuntary solitary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's like it's a real I think in your review you said it's very nerdy or dorky lyric, but it is.
Well, I thought it's like, if it was I want to be infected by your infection, that's brilliant dorky. That's like Ramones. You know what I mean? Like using the same word twice. That was what I was hearing.
Well, it's funny you picked up on something. Maybe it was subconscious because the original title of that song was I wanna be infected, and it was like I wanna be sedated,
right?
And it was totally like gonna be a nod to the Ramones, and we had some contention in the Gentlemen Rogues camp about that title because it was like all during COVID, and it was like that's gonna be weird, and and it's like there was a vote to like you can't call the song that. It was like the lyrics. The chorus can still say it, but for some reason that can't be the title. So that song was called, I changed it to Kamikaze Kissing because there's a line in it that says, kiss me like a kamikaze or something. And then I was like, no, that was the name of it for like a month or two. And then I was like, that title sucks. I'm sorry. I thought of Involuntary Solitary, and I liked how it's kind of like Troubled Troubadour. It's like both of those songs have this weird kind of like rhythm way the way you say them. It's almost like the same word. Like it's a 2-word title that almost kind of rhymes. Like each word kind of rhymes. It's sort of dorky, but I, for some reason, was like, I like that. That works.
That's right.
For Do the Resurrection, I love you. Please stop trying to kill me.
That's a great line.
It's absolutely brilliant. And I think we've all been in a relationship where it feels that way. What is the worst toxic relationship you have ever witnessed?
Ever witnessed? Like, or experienced?
Well, some of us do more witnessing than experiencing.
Witnessed, I have some friends that were married at one time, and there was obviously some personality disorders happening in one camp of that partnership, and it didn't last. And that was, without going, I could probably talk about it for like 3 hours, how wild it was to sort of experience. Because people can be really crazy.
It's awkward when you have to explain that to a friend of yours. Like, you say, dude, she hid your inhaler from you. She made it so that you had to do a treasure hunt to stay alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff in the news right now too. There's like that that woman who poisoned her husband, and she like, and he
Yeah.
like knew it. Like it's a thing. Like she's like going to trial, and right now I don't remember that the name and stuff, but like it's weird when you hear those stories because this guy, like she tried to, allegedly had tried to do it to him before, and he had eaten the sandwich that she made him and immediately got like broke out in hives, and he was like about to die, and he was texted his friends the next day that he was like, yeah, I think my wife tried to kill me, like she tried to poison me. And then you're like, and you stayed at the house? I'm like,
Right, what would it take for you to leave?
yeah,
Like
it's just crazy. Like, I mean, that's one of those weird toxic, or something's going on there that you for some reason didn't run for your fucking life when then she tried to poison you the first time, and then she ended up succeeding the second time, and it's crazy.
Yeah, there was a thing that came across Facebook today, and it was basically a note that some wife had taped up, and it said, "In case you're wondering where these 3 golf clubs are, I'll be happy to reveal to you once you take out the trash, mow the lawn, and do the other 3 things that you said you'd do last week." And I was like, "Wow, kidnapping golf clubs! Wow,
that's a new low."
Oh God,
that's funny.
So I love the video for that too. How was it filming it under that overpass?
The Do the Resurrection video, that we did that during COVID. That was the very first music video we ever made, and I think you can kind of tell, at no discredit to our friend Daniel who made it, because he did a great job, but I felt like when I watched that video, I'm like, we all look like we're really uncomfortable. We don't look like we're enjoying this very much, but it was fun to make. We during COVID, we obviously we couldn't play shows, and couldn't tour, and we couldn't really do a lot of anything. We didn't even have band practice for like 5 or 6 months or something, and we had recorded that song and the B-side that's on the 7-inch with it like maybe a month before COVID hit. It's like early February, and then that was like mid-March, all the shit hit the fan with all that stuff. And so we just spent $1,000 like recording these songs, and then we're like, well, what do we do? What are we going to do with these now that we may never get to play live again? Who knows what the future holds. And so I one Saturday night during quarantine, I just like sent out the songs to just a bunch of record labels, and I was just sending it out to anyone I could think of that might like it. And miraculously, like within 48 hours, I think we had like 3 people respond and be like, we love this, we'll put it out, and so we're like, whoa. So we ended up just going, okay, we're going to put out this 7-inch during a time where we can't play live, and how are we going to promote it if we can't play live? And so we're like, we're do some things we've never done before, like make a video and hire a PR person to like help us promote the single and the video. And we did, the first time we ever did that stuff, and I'm really glad we did, because it turned into like a really good experience. We ended up getting that song on Little Underground Garage through this PR person in their camp. Allegedly Little Steven like actually picks the songs himself, and he selected, and it was on that station. They played it like probably 30 times a day for like a week. They kept it in rotation. And one thing that we did not expect from all of that, we just thought it was so cool that we were on Underground Garage, because every time my girlfriend and I go on vacation, we get a rent car, we always use the Sirius XM that comes with the car, and we just listen to Underground Garage the whole time. And so I'm like, well, we're on that station, and we were all excited. It's like the Wonders and that thing you do. We're like, oh my God. And but what we didn't know, is that you get radio royalties from that stuff. And so we ended up getting like a good chunk of money from that. And that we used that money we made from that to pay for recording Surface Noise. So like our whole new record was paid for basically by Little Steven's Underground Garage.
That's awesome. Great. That's great. Yeah. You hear so many, we hear about every band we talk to talks about, you don't make any money from streaming, so it puts so much more pressure on live shows, blah, blah, blah,
And that's true, but you can make it from radio, which is interesting, isn't it?
That's really interesting.
Seems so old school, and like radio royalties, weird. But they still exist. I mean, we still get money from that, which is not a lot, but like I think a couple of weeks ago I had like a direct deposit from Sound Exchange, is this company who distributes that stuff, and it was like, like $52, and it's all from that song getting played on the radio like 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and I kept seeing you. I was like, that chair's from IKEA. I know that chair. But also I kept thinking, oh my God, I hope they weren't harassed by homeless people. Because we actually did a setup in downtown Baltimore. There was this big music festival, and we decided kind of dumbly we were going to do interviews after they got off. But we couldn't be anywhere near the venue because it was an outside stage. So we just went over to like the Holocaust Museum. We're setting up cameras and tables and microphones, having people walk over outside the venue. And all of a sudden, this homeless guy just starts harassing us. I was like,
and he didn't want to be interviewed.
No. Yeah, we didn't have any of that with that overpass. It's kind of like it was a really cold day that day. That's maybe something you can't tell. Everyone's in jackets and stuff, but it was like really cold, and it was the overpass. Daniel had found it because there's pillars, and you can see them in the video. Even more of them when you're under there, but yeah, it was kind of like real shock included. Like we didn't even see any cars drive by. It was kind of, we just had it to ourselves for like the hour that we were down there.
Yeah.
The living room stuff is like in my house, where like I pop up behind the couch with the guitar solo and like all that, the coffee table falling, all that stuff is just my living room. And
love it. I also love Francie. Where in the world did you get that big wall of speakers?
That is just tons of guitar amps that we just took everyone. We asked a ton of people, can we borrow your amp? We just need to pile it up on top of another amp. We're not even going to turn it on. We just need it to look cool. Yeah. And I have a couple of amps, and John has a couple of amps, and then I have a bass amp, so I have an extra amp out in the garage. And and I think we just borrowed a few from Daniel, who made Do the Resurrection and Francie. He's TV's Daniel, and he's also in a band called Radioactivity, and he's a cool dude. He plays in a band called Mugger, cool guy, and he just had the idea of like, let's just take a bunch of amps and stick them up against the wall and just make this giant wall of speakers. And also, actually, I don't know if that was his idea or my idea, but because there's a brewery by my house that closed down called Oscar Blues, but they had a stage inside of their brewery, and on one side of the stage it had this massive wall of speakers, of like stereo speakers, and every time I'd go in there, I'd be like, that would be cool to take like a promo band photo like in front of all those speakers. And then I think we ended up doing that. You can see those pictures somewhere, but we ended up taking the band photos there in front of those speakers. Then I think that probably triggered the video too. So that was probably like, oh, let's make a video where we're in front of a bunch of amps. So probably the photo idea spawned the idea for the video. It's all coming to me now. I've never thought about it until just this minute. The origin.
I really love how your lyrics just they take something, maybe a thought that you've always had, but you put a whole different spin on it. Like I can't brick you out of my mind. I love that. Where did you come up with like, do you write like it out like poetry, or does it just come to you like just really neat metaphors?
I don't know. That's hard to answer. I definitely think about the lyrics a lot. I'm a lyric guy. I'm meaning I care about the lyrics and not just my own, but like when I'm listening to music, I listen to the lyrics. I'm always really shocked by, and this isn't a dig on anyone who thinks like this, but I'm always shocked when I hear people, they're like, oh, I don't care what the song is. I don't care what they're saying. I don't care what it's about. I just like, if it sounds like them, and I like the guitar riff, and I'm like, you don't listen to the words? And they're like, no, I don't care about that. And I'm like, what? And I'm a total lyric guy. Like I think bad lyrics can just ruin songs. And by I can listen to a song and be like, man, this song is killing. I love this. And then I hear the lyrics and they suck. And I'm like, fucking hate this song. And it's like, it just ruins it for me. And not everybody's like that. And that's cool. I kind of wish that I wasn't that way, because I might like more stuff than I do. But yeah, I pay attention to lyrics. And when I'm writing them, it scares me a lot, and it makes me procrastinate, because I'm always afraid that I'm going to ruin the song by writing bad lyrics. It makes me really care about the lyrics even more, but then I start getting in my own head about it, and I start thinking I'm overthinking this, and it's going to end up sucking because I'm over it. But I guess to answer your question is, like, I really try with the lyrics, and I want them to be good, and I don't want them to be heavy-handed, and I don't want them to be stupid. I want them to be kind of clever and cool. So when people hear them, like you, so I appreciate the compliment, like that you go, these lyrics are great, and that's what I want to happen, is people to go, these are cool lyrics. Because when I hear songs like from Jawbreaker, and there's a lot of like bands that I love that have great lyrics, I'm like, God, those lyrics are so good. I wish I would have wrote those. So if people like mine, I'm like, yes. Victory.
We've spent hours discussing Sparks lyrics.
Oh, God.
Man.
Like, dinner for 12 has become dinner for 10. I'm under the table with her. Where did that come from?
That guy.
The whole idea of it.
Man.
And they stayed brilliant. Like the new stuff is just as brilliant as the old stuff. It's just,
I know. And the amount of stuff they have. I mean, that band's like 27 albums or something. It's insane. I love Sparks. I love Sparks.
What does that one guy say in the show? He says, if you put 3 musicians in a room together, eventually the conversation will go to Sparks.
That's a really good documentary.
That's
I mean, they're a fantastic band. I got into them through Morrissey, of all people. He's a big fan, and I'm a big Smiths fan and a big Morrissey fan. And I read an article with him, or an interview with him once, and he was talking about how much he loved Sparks. And I was like, when you have people that you like and they're really into something, you're like, oh, well, what are these people I like? What are they listening to? And you kind of go down those rabbit holes. So I checked out Sparks, and I listened to Kimono My House, that classic, 76 album theirs. And it was just, I already loved Queen, and I already loved David Bowie, and I already loved all that glam stuff. I was like, holy shit, this is 100% up my alley. And it's so weird, like you said, the lyrics are so weird, the voice is weird, and I like weird pop music like that. So I love that band.
I was in LA, and I met this friend of mine at Amoeba Music, which is a huge record store there.
Yeah. I was just there in March.
Okay, yeah. And I had Indiscreet in my hand.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's Henry Rollins' favorite Sparks record. It's like, you're just as sick as I am. Where the hell did you come up with that?
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a hard to pick a favorite with those. I mean, like we said, I think they just put out their 27th album or something, and I think I own 12 of them. But
I've only heard like half of them. There's so many. I mean,
there's a few I've never heard. As much as I love that band, they have a few albums I've never heard a single song off of them. It's a lot of material.
It's tough to keep up.
Yeah, it is. But like what you were saying with the lyrics, it's like that guy's he's an amazing lyricist, and his stuff is so interesting and funny. And it's kind of Morrissey's the same way, and you can kind of get where he probably gets influence from Sparks, because a lot of his lyrics are like, people are always like, oh, he's all sad and mopey, but it's funny. Like, if you listen to his lyrics, he's being funny on purpose. It's some of it's all mopey and sad, but so is Sparks from time to time.
Yeah, I love a track like Involuntary Solitary, which also is brilliant. Put that together. But it's so simple and hooky, but you've got those guitar harmonies on there, and I just love how you throw the layers and all together. And you can sing about a subject that's kind of like sucky, like obviously you're by yourself and you didn't want to be, but it's so upbeat. the video for that comes across like it could be a sitcom, entrance song.
Well, you know what that is? That's Kids in the Hall.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's the video was like is 100% like we're trying to make the intro to the Kids in the Hall. We like recreated it, and a lot of the don't tell anybody, but a lot of the footage that's in our video is stripped out of the intros from their TV from their show. So like we went and we found the first like 2 or 3 seasons, and we stripped pieces of that out. I didn't do it. Andrew made the video, did it. But the idea for the video was like, let's make a 3.5 minute Kids in the Hall intro, and so the font and the song title and the band name, all that stuff he hand did to kind of recreate the font that they have on theirs. The little bits where we sort of come up and our names come up on the screen, that's like a direct us copying something that happens in the intro.
Oh, that's cool.
Scott Thompson, he flips his hair, and so like that's why I kind of do this thing with my hair, because I'm just we're trying to just do the moves that they do in the intro. You'll have to look those up, but we're just trying to recreate it, Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
All right, so we play a game on the show.
Oh boy.
Don't be frightened. This isn't as bad as the other show. I have 100 questions in front of me, so I want you to pick 5 numbers. So you're just going to answer 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got a dog over here. I didn't even see this.
Oh, yeah. Jax is usually here.
Usually.
We always say it's bad luck if he's not here.
What's his name?
Jax. Yeah.
Jax. Got it. Okay, so 5 numbers, 1 through 100.
Yep.
Let's do number 7. Let's do number 27. Let's do number 33. Let's do 58. And let's do 75.
Right. I just redid these today because sometimes people
We interviewed this one band one time, and we were doing this, and he goes, I just had my randomizer up, and he spent like 10 minutes trying to, I guess, hook up some sort of auto generating. It's like, dude, just pick 5 numbers. Come on.
I just did the first that came to my head.
Suddenly got very mathematical with them.
Yeah.
Be glad it's just him here. When the cats get down here, it gets crazy.
Yeah. Things get knocked over. And
2 cats. The door is closed to this room, but they don't actually come in this is like my back where I work sometimes, and this is where like my books and guitars and crap are, but like they never come in this room. I think they understand that it's not very inviting to a cat. It's like, I don't know why I'm talking about this.
How many cats do you have?
Just 2.
Okay.
We had 4. We're down to 3.
Down to 3. Yeah, cats are important to me. I love them.
Ours never come in my room either, where I do writing and music and work and stuff. They never come in either. So maybe it's the same. Maybe they pick up on, and he comes in all the time. He just goes to sleep.
Well, it's weird because when they come in, they do come in the room, and then I come in the room. It's like they know they don't know. They're not allowed, but they act like they know they're not supposed to be in the room. They'll scramble out like, oh shit, I'm busted. But I don't care if they come in the room. But they think they're not allowed in here. I think that's why they don't. I don't know where they got that idea, but
when we lost our last cat, you feel so dumb. I mean, because I'm at work and I'm like, and everybody's like, what's wrong? It's like, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. It's hard. I've been there.
All right, number 7. What is the last thing you do before falling asleep at night?
I lay down. I mean, it's kind of not totally inaccurate. I fall asleep so fast. I have a problem though. I don't stay asleep. So I have a condition that I've deemed reverse insomnia. And I can like lay down and crash in 5 minutes, but I'll 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. If I lay down, I'm just going to crash out. And then I'll wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm wide awake. And it's like, it's time to start the day. and the alarm's not going off until like 7, and I'm like,
Wow.
and I do that a lot. I've been taking magnesium and melatonin and stuff a lot. I've been like doping up on that stuff, and it's been helping. But yeah, I guess I just kind of watch TV. Maybe that's like kind of a boring answer, but I'll watch TV, and then I'll like maybe watch some stupid YouTube videos and stuff, and then I'll kind of start dozing off, and I literally just go lay down on the bed. I'll fall asleep in like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So I guess I just sort of I wind down with a little bit of like YouTube videos. Nuke's top 5 ghost videos.
Okay.
That's what I like to watch. Paranormal clips.
Okay.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. You could just go down a whole rabbit hole.
It's fascinating when you see one that you're like, it's like UFO, where you're like that's real, but like what the hell is that? It's really, and then sometimes it's clearly fake, but it's the fun is just watching it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was fascinated with that girl who disappeared at the Cecil Hotel, and she's doing the camera in the elevator catches her doing all this weird stuff, like she's talking to somebody, but
yeah. That's a weird story. There's like a whole documentary about that, I think, on Netflix or something.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah,
it's definitely got like you kind of know what happened, but you also still kind of don't. There's still questions there. Anyway.
All right, number 27. If you founded your own country, what would you name it?
Founded my own country. I don't. That's a hard question. I would call it. Let's come back to that one. I would call it Neptune.
Okay.
33. Did you ever eat something that was beyond the expiration date?
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure I have. Yeah, but I can't think of what it would have been or when I would have done it. But one thing I've done, I am a meat eater, and something that I've done before, is kind of often because I get absent-minded, but I'll put meat out like a ground elk or beef or something, and I'll put it out in the sink to thaw. I'll forget about it, and then it'll just sit there all night in the sink and be like room temperature for probably 12 hours. And I've just bought it, and I'm like, damn, and I'll throw it in the fridge, and then I just sort of roll the dice and cook it and eat it and cross my fingers I don't get sick. And so far, so good.
May or may not have done that myself.
But that's not it being expired though. That's more of just like maybe I made it I almost make it rotten, leaving it out too long. I don't know, similar, but
we'll have these in-depth arguments where she'll say, well, why didn't you pack me the ham sandwich? I'm like, that's from Thursday. She'll go, no, that's from Friday. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's from Thursday. So we have this fear of expiration sort of thing.
All right, number 58. Are you afraid of the dentist?
I used to be, but I've overcome that fear because I went to the dentist a lot during COVID, of all things. In the last few years, I had a it's embarrassing to admit, but I got Invisalign. So I did Invisalign because I got like a bonus at work, and I had like my teeth were crooked, and I got a bonus at work, and I said, this bonus I got is the same as what Invisalign's going to cost. So I just said, I'll just get my teeth fixed. And so I did that. But then through that process, I had to get a, what is it called? Where your tooth is like a crown? So, yeah. So I have a crown way back in this one. I had to get like, fillings done on cavities. And I have a problem with not flossing like enough. And
we all do. I think we all do.
Everyone does, but it's like I'll get really good at it for like a month, and I'll do it like twice a day, and then I just eventually just fall off of it, and then And then every time I'm at the dentist, they're like, you floss? I'm like, yeah, sometimes. And so yeah, I used to be afraid of the dentist, but I've went to them the last few years that I'm not really scared anymore. My dentist is a nice guy too, so he's not like intimidating, and we chat and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a pleasant experience in some ways, except when they prop your mouth open. And I know they're doing good work in there, but like it becomes very uncomfortable when your mouth's just kind of stuck open like that for like 30 minutes.
I hate the sucky straw thing. I'm like, please just let me spit. I hate that thing. It just sticks to everywhere.
I can't. The one thing about the dentist is I forget how to breathe. Like when they have your mouth propped open like that, and you're like laid back in the chair, and like you need to be breathing out of your nose, but I'm still trying to like out of my nose and my mouth, and you're just choking on your saliva, and it's just like it's really awkward. I have to really concentrate on just breathing when I'm in that position.
I was getting a root canal or something one time, and the dentist said the weirdest thing to me. He goes, "Look, we're going to have a lot of sharp things going on up here, so don't like put your hands up here." And I was going to say, I thought I'd help out. Here, you need me to.
Yeah, let me get that for you.
It was the weirdest thing. Let me get that. I'm fully qualified.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll hold the drill.
Well, they'll sometimes it's funny too, though. Sometimes they'll talk to you, and it's not even just like tell you something. Talk. They'll like almost like ask you a question. You're like, I can't really respond. Like, I don't know why you're trying to. You just kind of go, and say something.
Well, no, I think they get off on that. I really
do. Yeah, maybe so.
All right, 75. Would you rather vacuum the house or mow the lawn?
Ooh, you're gonna think this is weird. I like doing both of those things.
Okay.
I actually enjoy it, both of them. Mowing the yard in Texas, it gets really, really hot. Like today was like 105 outside today. So mowing the lawn sucks in this weather, but but it's such a feeling of accomplishment.
Yes.
I love like finishing mowing the yard, and you're like, yeah, did it. And like everything's short now, everything looks good. Cleaning the house is like what I like. Vacuuming, I like doing that stuff because it's like you can put on a record and blast music, and you just like we cleaned the bathroom this weekend and vacuumed the house this weekend, and it was like it's sort of like therapeutic to me. I also like doing laundry.
Yeah,
these like chores that I guess my mom like raised me right to like do chores and like understand why you're doing it, and like I don't know, I've never really had a big problem with doing chores, and there's something kind of like therapeutic about it.
I always liked yard work a little better because you do yard work outside, it stays that way longer. I can vacuum, and 2 minutes later, there's a thing of hair blowing across the floor.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Where does this stuff come from? Like I cleaned the bathroom, and then there were like these fuzz balls on the floor, and I'm like, I like literally just mopped in here. Like where's this stuff coming from? But I'm sure it's the cats. Blame it on the cats.
Yeah, my brother he's a filmophobe as bad as I am with music.
Yeah.
So, but to me, the reason why I stuck with music is because I can do shit while music is playing, and periodically I will tease him, and I'll be like, "Well, you can't get off your couch because you're watching whatever the Blu-ray of Rear Window you just got or whatever he's talking about." You're kind of rooted when you're watching, but when you're listening.
That's
you
can
true. Get things done,
Yeah, I mean, you can, I guess, listen to a movie. It is a visual art, and
right?
Yeah, so
you kind of have to see it. It limits what you can get done, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, playing music too is weird though, because when you're vacuuming, then there's like this sound competition happening where it's like you got to really turn up the music if you want to hear it over the vacuum, but then your neighbors think you're a crazy person.
Always. We sit out by our fire pit, and like we kind of trade different music finds back and forth really loud. And we have these Hispanic people who live next to us. I know they hate us because everything over there is like mariachi.
They're always out there. They have a party for everything. They're like, little Johnny's first communion, Bob got a raise, whatever. They're always partying. So
they're living it up. I have a neighbor two houses down from me who's throws some loud parties, and like a sweet 16 for his daughter, and it's like they get like the bouncy house in the backyard. Like, and they're up till 3 a.m. blasting music, and it's like it kind of annoyed me at first, but then I was like, yeah, you know what, you're living, do you.
Yeah, we had Hispanic neighbors in my old house, and they loved karaoke. And I was over there one night for one of their parties, and I realized they don't even need to know the song. The guy got up there and he was supposed to be doing some song from Greece. You could tell he had never heard it. He was butchering it, and they were having a blast. And then an Elvis impersonator showed up. I was like,
oh my
wow,
God,
this
that's
is a
funny.
party, you know?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I think that's, I mean, I hate to like keep thinking, I feel like I've mentioned COVID like 3 times. I really don't that much, but like I do feel like there was that period of time was like, it really was like this reevaluation of things that were kind of important to you, and kind of like what, I don't know, I guess like what mattered, what you wanted to accomplish, what you didn't want to deal with anymore. Like everything became very centered around like your happiness, and so I guess when like people are having a loud party down this 2 doors down from me, if it's not keeping me awake at night, then I don't care, like you just like enjoy your life. I think that's like, we all like weren't enjoying our lives for a good like 2 to 3 years there, and it's any chance you get to like just live and get to have a fun time. You're only here once, so just do it as much as you can, as long as it's not detrimental to somebody else's health or whatever.
Yep,
absolutely. Yeah. So you guys have a huge festival coming in October, the Fest. What are you looking most forward to checking out there?
Oh man, there's so many good bands playing that thing. We're sort of working out the details of that, because we were gonna originally go out there and just play our show and then just hang out for the weekend and just see a bunch of bands. But like, we're gonna rent a van, and because our van kind of crapped the bed a few years ago. Just from, it's kind of weird how like cars and things fall apart from like lack of use. You would think that the car would like be preserved because you're not really doing anything with it. But our van that we toured in and stuff, it just fell apart during COVID, and where it's like we didn't use it, and it was like somehow the power windows motors burned out. And you're like, how does a motor burn out from not getting used? Does that? I mean, there's smarter people than me that know about that stuff, but it made no sense to me, and the van is dead. And so now fortunately through my work, I get really, really good discount on rental cars. So we're going to rent a van. And so we were like, well, maybe since we're going to rent the van, we should actually use it more than just driving out to Gainesville and back. So we're probably going to do like a little short tour where we play maybe 4 shows on the way up there and back. But Super Chunk is playing. That's one of like my favorite bands of all time. Ted Leo and the Pharmacists, I'm a huge fan of. He's playing. So if we stick around, those are probably 2 I want to see for sure. Jay Robbins from Jawbox is playing.
He's got a new record that's really good.
It just came out recently. There's a lot of cool stuff that's playing. If we stick around, I think we're gonna only really go and hang out the day that we're playing, which is on Friday, the 25th of October. And we're gonna maybe go venture off and play some other cities on the way home. But I mean, just the fact that just to get to go out there, we've never played in Florida before at all, so that's gonna be fun just to like get out to a part of the country. Even when Josh and I were in the Fall Collection and toured, we never went. We went Midwest a lot, but we never went over to Florida. So I haven't played a show in Florida since I was like 19 in a band. I was in a band called Jill. It was like a kind of a pop punk band, and I think we played in Pensacola in like when I was like 19. It's like the only time I've ever played in Florida. First time I've ever been in an ocean was Pensacola Beach.
Oh, nice.
I was like, whoa, an ocean. We should get in the water.
Well, you'd love Baltimore. We have mountains, we have ocean, we have bay. We got a little bit of everything.
You got a little everything. That's perfect.
Are you guys getting rain there? I mean, your lawn mowing answer, I was just curious. Is your lawn actually green? Because ours are all like crunchy, horrible. No
Yeah,
rain.
ours is normally really crunchy this time of year, but we've actually strangely been getting a lot of rain lately, which
Oh, okay.
is weird. I think that's a global warming or something.
No,
But
something.
it's very abnormal that
Yeah, we
yeah,
haven't been
it's been really humid in Austin for the last like couple of months, and it's like raining. We had a big hailstorm a couple of weeks ago, and like everyone's roofs got damaged. We just got our
Oh,
roof
man.
replaced in our house because it got all destroyed by hail.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's been the yard is it's blooming. It's doing good so far, but usually it's like crunchy and you can't walk on it barefoot because it hurts. And
Right. That's what we have this year. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's probably in our future soon. Probably by August we'll have it like that probably.
Okay.
I see big things in store for you guys. Hopefully we can lure you to Baltimore one of these days, and we'll definitely be there.
Awesome. Yeah.
We'll buy you
I
your
hope good
beverage of
things.
choice.
I hope good things come to us. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate y'all having me on, inviting me on, and doing the review. That was cool to send that, and we were like, oh, cool. Someone likes our record.
Falling on deaf ears.
Okay, Deaf Ears 1 is the new J. Robbins album called Basilisk. So I originally had not planned to review this album at all. I'd picked out another title. It was a good record, but I figured out later that it was one of these semi-supergroup things where everybody was just sending files from different parts of the world, and the videos were terrible with all the band members making geriatric home movies in their backyard and then splicing them together. Meanwhile, the whole time I've been listening to this J. Robbins album. So I figured, fuck it, I'll cover that. And Jay Robbins does not need a review from us, as he is a legend in the DC punk and post-punk scenes, with a resume of playing in bands like Government Issue, Burning Airlines, and of course Jawbox, who I did get to see at a seedy DC club back in the 90s. Additionally, he sort of became Discord's default engineer, producer during the emo years, producing a ton of artists that I would never admit to liking. He produced one of our favorite Clutch albums in 2005, Robot Hive Exodus. I wonder if maybe the organ was his idea and those funky songs, Anyway, so like I said, Robbins does not need a review from us, but Basilisk is just too damn good to ignore.
It's a short recording with 11 songs filling about 37 minutes. Those of you expecting the jaunty skronks of Jawbox are in for a surprise, as this is some hazy, riffy power pop with touches of classic posies and Husker Du as reference points. Take a gander at something like A Ray of Sunlight, with its hooky clean choruses and chimey layer guitars and pop-informed leads. Drummer Darren Zentak sounds fantastic here. His swishy, heavy stick work pushing these songs to aggro levels. Listen to the way he introduces the lead-off single, Exquisite Corpse, with that perfect boom boom bap before the dreamy arpeggios take us away like Calgon. I find it impossible to ignore a track with a title like Gasoline Rainbows, especially when it kicks off with such crisscrossing angular melodies and cool bass lines. If there is one track here that scratches into Jawbox territory even slightly, it's this one. At any rate, the songs are consistently challenging and full of pop smarts, and that album cover is badass. Welcome back, Jay Robbins. All right, let's play a song. This is Exquisite Corpse. This is Deaf Ears 2, Ozorn with Vermilion Haze. I am sure that Bill Keatley named his band Ozorn back in 2013, taken from the Rabbit adventure novel Watership Down. This is a phrase meaning destroyed as a result of catastrophe. He did not foresee it becoming somehow strangely prophetic, We all were about to enter years of uncertainty the pandemic would bring. Ozorn similarly suffered, hitting speed bumps of personal loss, drug addiction, mental health issues, the pitfalls of releasing a critically acclaimed album in the lost year of 2020, and lineup changes. Soldiering on, Keatley regrouped and reformed, sure he had something special here.
Upon hearing their set at the Maryland Doomfest this year, we were impressed by their standout performance, Grunge Forged with Doom. It reminded us of fellow Californian-based band Caius, with their similar style of psychedelic guitar riffs and heavy bass lines, also a little bit of Sleep's heavy feel and love of all things retro. We made a beeline and waited at their merch table as they loaded out, wanting to know much more about this Long Beach band. We were there to see Vermilion Whiskey, who killed it too, and with another odd name coincidence, something else Vermilion adjacent was soon to become a favorite. Vermilion Haze is the third full-length for Ozorn, Keatley channeling their strife into 8 new tracks. They're sounding better than ever with new drummer Derek Eaglet and producer Ryan Bosch dialing up the perfect mix. Tracks are doom length approximately in the 4 to 6 minute range.
In slow mood, Keatley's vocals have rough edges, and yet he caresses the notes slowly and carefully, channeling the ghosts of Lane Staley over his reverberant, fuzzy guitar that layers with Justin Suiter's mesmerizing, hypnotic riff repetitions. This track also features a doleful, goosebump-inducing guitar solo by Suiter. Eaglet pounds his drum kit through patterns and rolls. He is not about speed, but every strike of his drumsticks are precise and walloping. Justin Morales plucks out reverberant bass notes that deepen the atmosphere. Features is a slightly slower track with layers of distorted riffs spilling out, scooping up the listener, and carrying them along on a bent-like acid trip. This time, Keatley's gruff and melodic vocals are at times smooth, with an echoey on and on refrain, reminiscent of Kurt Cobain. There's an admirable drum breakout with Eaglet smashing and clanging it out. Never Saw It Coming as a track concerning the death of a friend is rageful at times, with the haunting chorus crooning, "You were the last to know," bolstered by an equally hooky recurrent riff.
Ricochet really sticks out too. With so many layers of vocals and crunchy guitar, it nearly overturns, bordering on chaotic, but are held together, lapping over each other like waves. It also has the fuzziest guitar breakout I've ever heard, with drums first adding punctuation before rotating out in a surgical strike bang and clang fest, peeling layers off like an onion and then adding them back in like a round. You can tell Keatley and crew mean business here, with carefully crafted songs, a killer lineup, and a sound blend that stands out from the crowd. Vermilion Haze simmers around in your head long after the last track dies out. The road to acclaim is not always easy, but I think that they are finally on their way. When this band kicks into gear and the wall of doom hits, you'll find yourself yelling, "Hell yeah," to the most satisfied smile.
Yeah, we had to get shirts.
There you go. Her shirt's better than mine. This song is called Slow Mood. Okay, Deaf Ears 3. Joey Valence and Bray are back with no hands. I cannot explain all of my guilty pleasures. Some are completely baffling. Popping bubble wrap with my toes. Cold pizza for breakfast. Joey Valence and Bray. It all fits together somehow. I honestly remember being a little alarmed looking at my Last FM stats at the close of last year. Their album Punk Tactics was in my top 5 for overall spins. And that's saying a lot considering the sheer volume of music that comes through this show. 2 goofy kids from Penn State kicking up Beasties-informed beats, garnished with lyrics about fights, grabbing cash, and pimped-out rides. Just when we thought we'd heard enough, album number 2, No Hands, drops like unexpected roadkill. 12 songs savagely capitalized, all laced with this duo's often brilliant combination of catchy loops, off-kilter samples, and lyrics about how good your mother was last night.
The whole thing is done faster than a bag of pork rinds, but particularly charming are cuts like the baddest. a track that answers the philosophical riddle we have all been pondering. Who's the baddest bitch in this club?
There you go.
I will not spoil it by telling you the answer, as this duo are happy to remind you about 800 times in the chorus. To get a really great feel for this pair, I recommend the audio and visual experience of Bus It, so you can enjoy passages like "Dance floor lit as soon as I touch that. Give me a song you can trust that I bust that," as Joey and Bray pose on the coolest kids' little tyke vehicles on the block before savagely destroying them. Yes, the video must have taken upwards of $35 to shoot, but the track we are going to play for you now is my personal favorite, Pack a Punch, if only for the line, "I spit fire, I'm more like Bowser, I got you scared, don't piss your trousers." Now, where's that roll of bubble wrap anyway?
Wow, it's pure poetry. This song is Pack a Punch.
Whatever we want, drop to midnight or get KO. You a small fry, you look like cold. I spit fire, I'm more like Bowser. I got you scared, don't piss your trousers. Hoodie up with the strings in a bow. Whip so low, keep the underglow. Speakers go pumping, beats bump bumping. Talk to my fist if you wanna say something. Don't you know that I pack a punch? Don't you know that I pack a punch? Don't you know that I pack a punch?
Ah, yes. The joys of taxidermy have been thoroughly explored.
You know, I saw something equally creepy on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's this company that makes like a stuffed animal that looks exactly like the pet that you lost. And it's just video of people opening up the packages and sobbing hysterically. I think there's something rather twisted about this.
So we'll get get a stuffed animal.
Yeah, like you send them a picture.
We have a, there's a calico up there.
There is, but that
We have a
actually is
stuffed
from the movie.
Which one movie?
It's that jazz movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's a Pixar. That does look a lot like her, but they will make a replica of whatever picture they send you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's kind of creepy. Not as creepy as a mouse smoking a Marlboro, but close.
We also talked about ridiculous job titles. He's not just going to handle all of our engineering for that money. He can pick up my dry cleaning while he's at it.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to Danny from Gentlemen Rogues for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme, courtesy of Jens Kemgren of the Firebombs. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Season 3 artwork courtesy of Casey Angel. Catch him on Instagram at Casey Angel Art. Deaf Ear bands include Joey, Valance, and Bray, Ozorn, and Jay Robbins. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
We miss you, Larry Longneck.
Oh no.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.